This is Capital Region Sunday. I'm Jessica Sims, and today I'm talking to Kristin Howarth. She is the founder of the Upstate New York Autism Alliance. So what are some of the experiences living and breathing autism?
Wow, parenting's hard enough, right, for everybody, but it is a challenge because I think when you decide to have a family and you have a child and you have all of these hopes and dreams for that child and how you perceive your family, when you get a diagnosis of autism, your world gets really small, and some of your hopes and dreams can feel like they're not attainable, right? So we struggle with that daily. I mean, in each time we come to a different age group, like right now my boys are in middle school, so all of the things that happen in middle school that my boys may not be able to access. So it's a constant struggle with just not being able to have a normal parenting childhood relationship, which is, it's like I said, parenting's hard enough,
Sure.
But then when you have that impact as well, it's a challenge.
Well, luckily there are places like you, the Upstate New York Autism Alliance, who can give them kind of a community to turn to for help.
Sure.
And you being the founder of Upstate New York Autism Alliance, you had mentioned before that you have two twin boys who were diagnosed with autism. I'm sure that gave you a reason to start this organization, but there's a big difference between a parent with children with disabilities and someone who started an organization. So what made you make that next step?
That's a good question. So when my husband and I moved here, we were pregnant with my boys, and we're from Massachusetts, from the Boston area. And when we came here, loved this area, but realized after our children were diagnosed, there wasn't a lot of resources readily available. So I found myself living in Queensboro, New York, driving down to Albany or, the Capital District to try to find information and resources for our family. And, which was an undertaking in itself. I had to get a sitter, drive down and back an hour each way, leave my husband home with two crying babies.
Oh, wow.
and thought, there's got to be a better way.
Sure.
So just with more investigation in our local area to see if there were other families like mine, we ended up hosting an event, and lo and behold, we had about 50 people come out and realized, gosh, we're not the only ones. We need to do something. So that was how we started our program, and it's been wonderful. It's been such a network of families that have provided support for each other as well as guidance. And we link up parents. I get calls all the time of newly diagnosed families, and what I'll do is I'll try to match them up with another family that's in their community.
Oh, that's great.
So they can have kind of that mentor
Sure.
and resource to guide them through. Because there's no welcome wagon. Your child gets diagnosed with autism, and no one comes knocking at your door and says, "Oh, okay, here's your roadmap. Here's what you do."
Right.
You leave that with that diagnosis, and you're left to your own devices, which most people just jump on their computer. So we're kind of that clearinghouse for people to point them in the right direction or get them the resources and information that they're seeking.
I know they always say parenting doesn't come with a handbook, but parenting a child with a disability really, really doesn't. So it would be nice to talk to someone face to face. It's a lot easier, I can assume, than just Googling.
Yes, exactly. And then you also feel like there's a personal component to it as well. I mean, you realize, okay, I'm not alone. The things that my child is doing, other children do too, and it just gives that normalcy in an unnormal situation. About the best ways to approach that.
And you're one of the hosts of the 7th Annual Autism Expo and Art Exhibit. Do you mind explaining some of that to me, please?
So our event is Sunday, April 29th from 12 to 3. It's at the Saratoga City Center in Saratoga Springs. We're grateful to Will Sinsky and Pleat for being our presenting sponsor for the 6th year in a row to allow us to do this. It's an amazing event. We have, I think, right now over 80 vendors and exhibitors that have signed up.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It is, and I'm sure it's going to grow. We still have a few more weeks with that. So it basically how it came to be is parents like myself and Julie Marks, another woman who's involved with the expo. we just didn't have a place to go for resources, or we were trying to find them on the internet or trying to find them through word of mouth. And then the idea came, well, wouldn't it be great to have them all under one roof so families could go to and visit with people and talk with providers and therapists and all these other resources to find out what works for them and their family.
And growing that community.
Exactly. I mean, it's an amazing event that we look around. It's almost like a double-edged sword. We look around and we see all these people, anywhere from, I think last year it was between 800 and 900 people that we had attend. And we're so glad that they came out to access this information. But again, it's just sad that there's so many people in our community that are affected. And
you said, talking about the 7th Annual Autism Expo and Art Exhibit, that you have so many vendors. Could you explain what some of those vendors are specifically?
Sure. There's academic programs, and that ranges anywhere from pre-K all the way up to college, which is wonderful because a lot of times, when a child's school age, there's a lot of resources and programs for them in school, but what happens when they graduate? So that's a whole nother time frame that families have to think about. They may not just be going off to college, but there are programs that they can access, and we'll have some of those there. There's a lot of camps, recreational camps, summer camps, employment resources, as well as therapeutic opportunities and agencies, advocates in our community. If you need access to a local advocate for whether it's educational or placement, and just a lot of other recreational and social opportunities for the kids. The other thing I wanted to highlight about the actual event itself is it's open to families. It's not just an event for parents or educators. Bring your kids because we have games, we have a bounce house, we have a sensory room. So if kids are overwhelmed, there's a quiet place to go. We have arts and crafts, and all of that sponsored by the Charles R. Wood Foundation. And it's also manned by the psychology students at Skidmore College. Their students come and they volunteer and they do arts and crafts with the kids. They do face painting. They do all kinds of activities.
You're co-hosting the event with Saratoga Bridges. How did you get connected with them?
I'm a parent of 2 children with autism. So I started a group because there just was a need for resources in our area when my boys were diagnosed. And we've been doing our group for about 11 years. So about 2 years ago, Saratoga Bridges asked me to come on to help them to co-host the event, just to bring my families and my experience from being a parent to the expo.
What kind of resources do you have for families when it comes to autism?
We offer anywhere from 3 to 10 activities a month. So I'm a busy lady.
You are, especially with 2 kids.
Yeah, exactly. So most of those activities are recreational, social, resources for parents. We do educator and parent trainings. We have like a gamut of things that we offer based on the needs from our membership. Someone asks me, we really need this, then I'm looking to make that happen. Right now we have many families that are dealing with puberty, right? So
which is hard in and of itself.
Exactly, but then you add in a child with a developmental disability, and some of your parenting experience just doesn't apply to that kid. So right now I'm working on trying to get a specialist from the New York City area to come up and talk to families.
And where can someone find out more information about the Upstate New York Autism Alliance?
Well, our website is www.upstatenyautism.org, and we're also on Facebook under Upstate Autism Alliance. And we, like I said, on our website, we list under our events things that we do in the community, and we're, welcome to families of all disabilities. It's not just autism, because there are a lot of similarities with a child that may be speech delayed or, have a learning disability where they don't fit the mold in other social situations.
The event coming up is an expo and art exhibit. Could you tell me more about the exhibit?
So our art exhibit is it's a showcase of artwork from local area students, and actually beyond. Last year, I think we had some pieces from the Brooklyn area. But what our goal is with the art exhibit is to really highlight the ability rather than the disability of individuals with autism. And it's really, really an impressive exhibit, and I encourage everybody to just come and, even if you don't need any of the resources for autism, come in and look at the exhibit. It's just an amazing art show.
Thank you so much, Kristin, for some of your time. That was Kristin Howarth. She's the founder of the Upstate New York Autism Alliance. I'm Jessica Sims, and this is Capital Region Sunday.